Hey everyone, welcome back. Now that my tips are placed and shaped, I'm gonna go ahead and add my Young Nails Protein Bond. This is one of my favorite. As you noticed, I didn't apply a dehydrator, and it's just a personal option. I believe that when we remove the shine and the oils from the natural nails, we're basically dehydrating the nail. So that's something that I personally don't work with. We want to apply it all over the natural nail. I've also worked with the Mia Secret Extra Bond and it works just as good. I really like both of these, they're my favorite. For this client, I will be doing a one color full set using my Perfect Nude from Valentino. This is one of my favorite acrylic brands to work with, and this specific color is actually one of my favorite as well. Before we begin a set, we want to make sure that we remove all the bubbles from our brush. So we want to make sure it's completely wet all throughout, because if we do leave bubbles in the brush, then those will come onto the acrylic. Soon I'll be making a video where I focus more on the liquid to powder ratio, but here I'll just show you guys how I do my application. I try to do the one bead method every time, but sometimes I happen to pick up a smaller bead than I need, or I do happen to leave it too dry or things like that. In addition, working with different brands definitely affects the liquid to powder ratio and the drying time, etc. So you definitely have to get used to working with the different brands and learning how each of them works. From this point on, I'll leave the application section in real-time speed so that you guys can see how quick I do my application. For this nail, I did pick up a bead smaller than what I needed. So as y'all can see, here I am adding a smaller bead at the tip of her thumbnail, just so I can even out that section. I'm also adding one more bead near the cuticle because since I was dragging it down trying to fill the whole nail, I got rid of the apex. So I'm just adding that bead there so I can build up my apex once more. And there you have it. My application for the first hand is done. At this point, I remembered to show y'all the brush I was working with. This is a size 12 Olivia Ray Pro Series Kolinsky. It's my absolute favorite. As you all can see, the bead I picked up for this nail was also smaller than what I needed, so I'm going in and adding one more bead at the tip and then just brushing up. And then same thing here, since I got rid of my apex, I'm adding one more bead near the cuticle just to build that up again. What I do to prevent flooding the cuticles is apply my bead right below the cuticle and then slowly push it up, as y'all can see. Then I make sure I'm also filling both of the sides by pushing the bead sideways a little. But you want to be careful when doing this because if you push too hard, you can get rid of your apex or you can push it up and flood the cuticles. Then you just start to slowly drag down the acrylic so that you can cover the full nail. It's important to know how to apply the acrylic and work with it by the cuticle because we want to make sure it does not touch the cuticle or the skin on the sides of the nail. If we do get acrylic on the skin, then our client's nails will definitely lift within the next few days. Therefore, proper application is definitely important in order to prevent lifting. As y'all can see, for this nail, again, I picked up a bead that was a bit smaller than what I needed. So as I was dragging down, I got rid of my apex. Therefore, I'll be going in and adding another small bead near the cuticle to build that up again. And there you have it, my application for her second hand is now complete. Now moving on to reshaping. This is an important step because sometimes when we apply the acrylic over the tips, it does flow onto the sides and changes our shape a bit. I hold my file straight against the acrylic and just move the file up and down. You want to make sure you're doing this because if you don't hold the file straight, you will round out your shape and your edges won't be crispy. Remember to hold the file straight against the acrylic because what we're focusing on filing now is the acrylic itself, not the tip, since the tip was already pre-shaped before we added our acrylic. Here again, I'm flipping over my client's hand and making sure that the tip of the nail is horizontally straight in comparison to her cuticle. Here, I'm just double checking that the lengths are all the same and that I did make the tips of all my nails straight. As y'all can see, I do continue to hold my file straight against the acrylic. The only time that I do file down from the bottom of the nail tips is when I want to get rid of any extra nail shavings. Here, I'm reminding you guys not to file in this position because we are not shaping the nail tip anymore. That was already pre-shaped. We want to hold straight against the acrylic because that's what we're focusing on this time. Here, I'm just showing y'all that the only reason to hold out our file to the side the way I am right now is to remove any additional products that might be under the nail. Now again, I flip my client's hand over and I'm just making sure that the tip of the nail is straight in comparison to the cuticle. For this nail, I'm filing a little more because I noticed it is a bit longer than the other nails. Now that I have reshaped my nails, I'm going to go in with my cone bit and seal the cuticles. This is one of my favorite bits to work with when sealing the cuticle because it also helps redefine the apex. To properly seal the cuticle, you just want to go right around the cuticle and make sure that the start of the acrylic blends well into the natural nail. You don't want to overfile because you don't want to create ridges on their natural nail. You also want to be careful not to touch your client's skin because you can cut them. Once I'm done sealing the cuticles, I go ahead and smooth out the surface with my buffer. This just helps get rid of any small bumps or uneven parts on the surface of the nail. In addition, the drill might have left some rough edges or rough parts on the surface, so buffing out the surface will definitely help make it smooth. Now I'm just looking at my client's nails from all angles and making sure they all look nice and even. I'm also checking that I didn't leave any acrylic residue at the bottom of my client's nails, and for her thumbnail I did see some, so I'm just nipping that off. And there we have it. My client's nails are basically ready for some top coat to be applied over it, but first I do want to completely dust off the cuticle area. In order to really get in there, I will be using my brush bit so that I can fully remove the dust from those cuticles. This is a quick little step I like to add because if we leave the dust in the cuticles, then it'll end up on our gel brush and then in the gel bottle and eventually on all other sets. So we want to make sure they're nice and clean. This next step is also something I personally choose to do. I like to add a bit of Germix on the cuticles as well, just to remove any leftover dust that still might be in there. At this point, some people ask their clients to go wash their hands, but this is a quick time saver for me and it's definitely helpful. Now, before we apply the top coat, we want to make sure that the client's nails are fully dry because if there is still some alcohol or Germix left on their nails, the top coat will not adhere properly. So here I'm just showing y'all that I like to work with the Olivia Ray gel top coat. I usually buy the bigger bottle and then just refill the smaller one once I need it. A thin layer of top coat is fine. We don't want to add too much because if we do, it'll start running off to the sides and mess with our shape. Remember, thinner is better. We don't want to do thick layers of top coat or else it'll run off to the sides and change the shape. When I turn my client's hand sideways to add the gel on the thumb, I put my pinky under theirs so that their nails won't touch the towel. Here's a little trick. When I notice there's a piece of lint on my nail, I do a backwards brush motion with my brush and I easily remove that from the nail. So now I am wiping off any excess top coat that might have run off to the sides of the nail. I'm gonna go and do this on every fingernail to make sure that the shape is still good. Then while she's curing those under the UV lamp, we're moving on to the next hand and working the same way. Remember, thinner is better. And this is the final result on my client's nails. Remember, I used my Perfect Nude by Valentino. Now I'm just adding a drop of cuticle oil on each cuticle and spreading that. And there you have it, ladies. This is how I create a set. Stay tuned for more.